Okay, this is the second video. Compare the role of the wilderness for the protagonists in Tracks and Into the Wild. Now, we're looking at a couple of words here: role, wilderness, and then potentially protagonists. So let's see if we can have a look at what wilderness might be suggesting. So there's the natural wilderness, and there might be, I reckon you can't ignore the suburban or societal environments, and I think you might have to justify why you're considering that to be part of a wilderness, but I think that might be a worthy discussion to have. And there's also more native cultures. Yeah. Okay. Now, in under role. Well, what role is it having as transformational change? Yeah. Role as an educator, I suppose. Yeah. The role as a form of escape, and one that I think is worth talking about is its role as punishment. Okay. So, the natural wilderness. Now we have the ideas behind natural wilderness. Actually, sorry, we've also got divinity over here in role as well. Okay. So, the natural environment, we're talking about isolation. Yeah, and we're talking about being tested. Yeah, and we need to think about the natural world both as the practical, almost empiricist, survivalist, interaction with the natural world, versus the romantic. Yeah. So the romantic / literary. Because McCandless has a very literary, romantic view of nature, whereas Robin has a bit more of a practical, survivalist kind of view of it. Suburban society, connected to family, safety, but the dangers of conformity. Dangers of conformity, usually to do with normality. Oops, I forgot to change colours, didn't I? Normality. And you can see that in the postscript. Native cultures, we have indigenous cultures and their relationship with the natural world, but we also have Slab City, And what you've got to be careful of here is you don't want to suggest that the people at Slab City are somehow indigenous, but they do serve a similar kind of role in Into the Wild. They serve as the people that are more connected in some way, although not as profoundly as indigenous people. Now, let's have a look at the roles. Roles as transformational change. I think we need to ask, is this possible? But also it's a moment of comparison. Was this is certainly what Davidson wanted, but was it what McCandless wanted? McCandless might not have been wanting to change. What he was wanting was more of an escape, right? So if this is Davidson, maybe this is more McCandless. And what's he trying to escape from? Family. Expectations. Conformity. But again, I think that's too broad or too simplistic, because again, with Davidson, she is trying to escape, to some degree, conformity, and she is trying to escape the gender roles, isn't she? Right? And McCandless is trying to make sure that he transforms into, Supertramp. And what is it about Supertramp that is desirable to him? Now, educator. This felt that lessons can be learned, usually by testing yourself against nature. And you only and only things real when you're act of survival. But there's also this is a subtext. I mean, it's nothing that they talk about, but is McCandless being punished for not taking nature seriously? Is I shouldn't call him McCandle. Is looking at nature merely as a something you can use to grow yourself, is that are they punished for that? Is their arrogance punished for that? I think both of them are punished at one time or another, for their arrogance. Divinity, certainly in both, right? We talk about the clouds. We talk about the Gaia. So, does the divinity have a role here? So, again, your challenge is to kind of bring all this together. So, the natural world provides isolation, and the way that the different characters view it versus a romantic kind of view versus a practical kind of view, and therefore they try to escape and transformationally change. They use the environment as an educator, and as a way to learn, about themselves, but also perhaps God, but perhaps they're ultimately punished for it, or maybe you can go a different way. Maybe you can kind of say that the escape from suburban society and the running towards natural environments leads to transformational change and education, or whatever you want to say. Okay, I'll leave that to you, and I'll see you in the next class.